we are here to talk about capture cards. Specifically, this little thing. If you're in the market for a capture card, you probably have seen Elgato, you've probably seen other competitors. You're looking at $230, $160. You're looking at pretty expensive capture cards and wondering, what is it I need? Well, this little bad boy is literally $15. I technically got it for $20, but with a little bit more searching, you can find it on certain websites for $15, certain Amazon resellers. This thing is incredibly cheap, and I'm gonna be honest, quite surprising. I actually don't understand how it can actually be this good for being this small and this cheap. I mean, for starters though, it's not branded. You'll find tons of other resellers who have just this HDMI video capture with no branding. A lot of people selling it in that $15 to $20 range, where when you go to name brand, obviously you're paying a little bit more of a premium. You will get a quality product. You just need to figure out what you're gonna use your video capture card for. Are you using it for camera? Are you using it for a webcam? Are you using it to display or record your gameplay footage on your PC? Or using it for streaming in OBS? There are multiple things you could be using it for. And when doing my research, I didn't want to spend $200 on a video capture card if I wasn't going to be doing a lot of streaming or recording from one of my consoles. But I wanted to test it out because I had a few things I wanted to record on my PS4 and PS5. So I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos. I looked at even some of the latency tests for this compared to other name brands, and it is surprising how low this latency can get for just this cheap, small USB 3 capture card. So, as you can see, this is advertised as a 1080p 60 frames per second capture card. That is a USB 3. I've seen a lot of reviews and complaints of people saying it's not 60 frames per second or it's not USB 3. I will say there are a couple drawbacks with it actually performing at 60 frames per second. People say at 720p you can get it 60 frames per second. At 1080p, some people say it usually hits that 30 frames per second cap and then doesn't go any higher, but it has been shown to go to 60 frames per second. I've seen it go to 60 frames per second. It doesn't always hold it there. Sometimes it kind of bounces around all over the place, but it just depends on what you're looking for and depends on what you need it for. So there is a little bit of a challenge and a struggle with it holding 60 frames per second at 1080p. Also, people have complained of it just being USB 2.0 and not 3.0. Granted though, there are different ports on your motherboards or your PCs that are just USB 2 or USB 3.0. So you got to make sure you're plugging it into the right port. And obviously, even if with it being USB 2, it still is able to hold that 1080p 60 frames per second at times. But then what it really comes down to is you compare it to the other capture cards, and the other capture cards are quite expensive, in the hundreds. And so if you're looking for something cheap, this is the route you're gonna wanna test. And you can always buy it on Amazon, see if it's faulty, see if it does what it's advertised. You can utilize their return policy. But as you can see here, now I have some recorded gameplay footage. This is from my PS4 recording on my PC. And you can see here, it's working really well. We're getting not a lot of dropped frames. We're not getting a lot of screen tearing, although it can happen at times. But you can see it's working pretty well, and it's recording my gameplay footage. So if you're utilizing this for streaming, it can be really good. So, all in all, overall review, I am impressed. For something so small, doesn't look like there's a lot of hardware that needs to go into this, but it's been quite effective. Obviously, if you're looking for 4K or if you're looking for something better, this is not the capture card for you. You gotta go for something higher. But that is our quick review of this cheap HDMI capture card. I'm honestly impressed with it, and I recommend it for anyone starting out or just looking for a pretty cheap option to capture their webcam or get some gameplay capture on your PC. Thanks for tuning into Iron Point Tech. Like and subscribe, and tune in for more videos.